walks onto stage. Good whatever, lady and gentlemen. This versus review will be a little different. I decided to do a father versus son film review. Kirk Douglas was Michael Douglas's father. Kirk Douglas was born in 1916. Over 100 years ago. Michael Douglas was born in 1944. Both were war babies. Smirks. You may consider this review as an electronic spank. Pauses. Michael Douglas married Catherine Zeta-Jones, an actress from Wales who was best known for her role in the television series The Darling Buds of May, starring David Jason. Michael Douglas married Catherine Zeta-Jones in 1999. 6 years after Falling Down the film was released. In this generational film review, I have chosen Spartacus and Falling Down, since they both express the time in which they were made and the actors who are under discussion. Pauses. Spartacus was released in 1960 and was produced by Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas fired the original director and brought in the now famous Stanley Kubrick. Kubrick became the director of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Kirk Douglas had worked with Kubrick in the film Paths of Glory, an American anti-war film set in the First World War. The Blu-ray release of Spartacus includes the full musical ensemble, theatrical intermission, and a censored scene about bisexual sex. Pauses. Which makes it quite unlike the family film many remember watching on and off over a long wet bank holiday weekend. Rolls eyes. Spartacus stars many famous actors of its time, along with Kirk Douglas, including Tony Curtis, who starred with Kirk Douglas in The Vikings. Spartacus was filmed as an epic, which historically predated most of the other epics of the time. Pauses. Before we go any further with this, spoilers ahead. Smirks. Spartacus is based on a real historical character and slave rebellion. Although the film does not capture everything the Romans wrote about Spartacus and his slave army, it does manage to provide a dramatic summary with some classic and memorable scenes, as well as some extremely dodgy loincloths. Pauses. The story of Spartacus includes a love story in order to provide a dash of levity and hope, since the Romans' account is of a defeated enemy unworthy of note other than as a warning to future Roman generations. Pauses. Verania is deemed a beautiful slave and offered to Spartacus in his cell for mating purposes. In case you were wondering, gladiators are given special treatment since they are trained for the arena, for Roman festivals of blood, where they fought to the death. Verania bears herself to Spartacus, and Batiatus laughs at Spartacus because of his virginity. Pauses. I'm not an animal. Pauses. The gladiators are trained in combat. Spartacus is picked on by the slave master, having been pointed out as a troublemaker upon his arrival. Most of the preamble story is fiction. There were no accounts of Spartacus other than his battles with the Romans. Rolls eyes. Batiatus receives Crassus, a wealthy and influential Roman, at the gladiator training center. He shows off his gladiators to Crassus's wedding party, thinking they are there to view his slaves for pleasure. Crassus wants to witness a private gladiatorial fight to the death in celebration of his friend's wedding. Batiatus is reluctant to waste his slaves on a private fight, until Crassus asks him to name his price, after which Batiatus is only interested in maximizing his profit. Pauses. The two women pick their two gladiators from the train pen, then return to the observation platform to watch the sport. Pauses. It is difficult to understand the brutality of the Romans. Perhaps the violence reinforced some animal instinct and an illusion of being in control. Pauses. Spartacus is to fight against one of his friends, even though gladiators were explicitly told not to make friends. Because of such a situation, Spartacus was now in. Pauses. Draba and Spartacus listen to the first pair of gladiators fight, waiting for their turn, wondering if they will be the one to live. Pauses. Well duh. Draba is taller, stronger, and has the longer weapon. Spartacus is toast. Pauses. The first fight ends, and the loser's body is dragged off as the cage door is opened. Pauses. Draba toys with Spartacus for a while, since a quick kill is not entertainment, and his master would be displeased. Pauses. The Romans do not really pay attention, continuing to chat as Draba and Spartacus fight to the death. Pauses. Inevitably, Spartacus is defeated, and Draba looks to the Romans to confirm the kill. Pauses. But they are not even paying attention. One motherfucker is even on his mobile phone. And it's all too much. Draba charges, and jumps up to Crassus to tell him to pay attention, whilst he executes Spartacus. A Roman guard misreads the situation, and chucks a fucking aster at Draba. Then fucking Crassus stabs him in the back. Literally. Spartacus feels really bad for Draba. Pauses. It all kicks off when the slave master hangs Draba's body in the hall, stinking the cells up. Spartacus drowns the slave master in a bucket of soup, and the rest of the gladiators take turns in enacting their revenge on the guards, until all the guards are dead. Pauses. Meanwhile, Antoninus, played by Tony Curtis, is being introduced to his new master, Crassus, played by Laurence Olivier. Do you have a skill, Antoninus? I am a poet. I trained the children of my master in the classics. Pauses. Do you consider the eating of oysters to be moral, and the eating of snails to be immoral? No, master. Rolls eyes. The love story of Verania and Spartacus is portrayed as an intermission to the main historic storytelling. Whilst today, bare legs and upper breasts are barely considered nudity, in the 50s and 60s, it was extremely risky. The American film censors instructed filmmakers exactly how much flesh was permissible. Pauses. Spartacus' romantic side is hardly sketched, with Spartacus playing the dominant male, showing romantic affection to Verania, and an on-screen kiss between a man-slave and woman. Gasps. It is in the pause, in action, that Antoninus mentions his life as a slave, and his demure nature. I'm a singer of songs. A pet slave. Do you do anything else? I juggle. I perform tricks of magic. Maybe you can make the Romans disappear. Smirks. And the gay band of runaway slaves listen to Antoninus sing his song. I turn home. Historically, Spartacus heads north to the Alps before heading south. In this lost tale, Spartacus and his army defeat the Romans, and with a free run home, decide instead to take on the might of Rome. Maybe it was the realization that sooner or later Rome would catch up with them, or the concept that no man can truly be free while others are enslaved. Pauses. No, that was Thomas Clarkson, the English abolitionist from the 18th century. Spartacus and his army wanted to make the Romans their slaves. Smirks. In the film, as in history, Spartacus is betrayed by pirates, having fought through the length and breadth of Italy, and turned towards Sicily as a safe strong point from which to launch attacks against the Roman Empire. Pauses. The Romans recall their legions from foreign campaigns and turn them on the slave army. Vitiatus, the slave owner of Spartacus, seeks an exclusive deal to resell any surviving slaves, on the condition that he identifies Spartacus. Pauses. The fight scenes are extremely tame to modern standards, with only small bands of men and large battles fought off-screen. The final battle deviates from history, with Spartacus being surrounded in an open battlefield, and fighting to the last man as 3 Roman armies crush the slave rebellion. There was some attempt to perform large battles, with flaming rolling bales and retreating Romans. With a limited number of fixed cameras, the scale of any battle is difficult to translate to on-screen action, which is why there was the development of CGI battles, with its sweeping camera angles and close quarters fighting. Battles can be conveyed through focusing on single fighters and a little shaky camera, run alongside long shots of the main action. Pauses. After Spartacus's last battle, Crassus looks for his body. Romans would often parade their defeated enemies through Rome, dead or alive. It is at this point in the film, the movie magic is released. Crassus offers the slaves their lives and freedom to the slave who identifies Spartacus's body, or the living man. Pauses. I bring you a message from your master, Marcus Licinius Crassus, commander of Italy. The first man among you who identifies the gladiator called Spartacus, whether dead or alive, will be granted unconditional freedom. Pauses. Well, speak up. Freedom's what you fought for, isn't it? Show me Spartacus and win it. Pauses. I'm Spartacus. Pauses. No. I'm Spartacus. Pauses. I'm Spartacus. No, we are all Spartacus. Looks left. Kirk Douglas disliked McCarthyism and how it had set American against American. Looks right. And that is why he made the film Spartacus. Pauses. Though, the lesson of that time remains unlearned to this day. I wonder what his thoughts would be today. Rolls eyes. The film Spartacus ends with all the males from Spartacus' army crucified. Vitiatus accidentally manages to secure the release of Verania and Spartacus' son. Pauses. Verania stops at the side of the road where Spartacus is crucified. Pauses. He is free, Spartacus. Your son. He is free. Roll credits. Pauses. On to the next review. Falling Down. Starring Michael Douglas. Son of Kirk Douglas. Released 33 years after Spartacus. On the upside, there's no music or intermission. On the downside, there's no comic or romantic relief. Falling Down is a straight downward collapse of one man's life. Consumed by his community in a single day. Pauses. Bill's day appears to start like any other day. Stuck in traffic, trying to make it home in time for his daughter's birthday party. Pauses. Most people miss the Dilbert reference. Dilbert started in 1989 and was a cartoon strip commenting on corporate America. Dilbert is about how corporations promote the incompetent employees to management positions to minimize their ability to do harm. Office Space, the film, from 1999, is another example of the Dilbert genre, where white-collar workers are depicted as anti-heroes in a social commentary storyline. Pauses. Bill abandons his vehicle and starts walking back home. He goes into a shop to break a dollar bill for change, so he can let his wife know he will be late. There were no mobile phones in 1993. For white-collar workers, anyway. Bill decides to purchase a can of the shop's finest beverages, thinking it would be reasonably priced. Unfortunately, Bill is a fish out of water. He has been in a deep sleep for quite a few years, focusing on his job and his family. Bill argues with the shopkeeper and ends up losing his shit. It is at this point the audience notices Bill's world view is a little off-kilter. You think I'm a thief? You see, I'm not the thief. I'm not the one charging 75 cents for a stinking soda. You're the thief. I'm just standing up for my rights as a consumer. Pauses. It's been a pleasure frequenting your establishment. Bill exits the shop with his change for the phone, his beverage, and a free baseball bat given to him by the generous shopkeeper. Bill pauses for a while in a city park after finding that his shoe has a hole in it. Two local lads approach him and ask him for his briefcase as a toll for passing through a public park. Looks left. I guess they are not used to the concept of public spaces. Looks right. Bill negotiates the exchange of his baseball bat for a shiny butterfly knife. This film is turning into quite a pre-internet swap shop. Pauses. Whilst holding on to his lunchbox. This is a gangland thing, isn't it? Clear the path, you motherfucker. Clear the path. I'm going home. Pauses. Turns out, the lads Bill met were members of a gun club and wanted to show Bill their gun collection. However, the driver of their vehicle is young and gets distracted, causing a crash. Rolls eyes. There, you see. That's the concept. Take some shooting lessons, asshole. And some driving lessons, Bill. Don't forget the driving lessons. Smirks. Bill confiscates their bag of guns to prevent illegal use and walks away. Pauses. Bill manages to call home, at which point Bill's story becomes apparent. He's separated from his wife and daughter, with a restraining order preventing him from seeing his daughter. As Bill's day unfolds, a policeman, Prendergast, on his last day before retirement, which is definitely not a 90s cliché, follows Bill's path of destruction as his own life implodes. Pauses. Excuse me. Hey, excuse me. I don't know if you have noticed it or not, but there are other people waiting to use the phone here. Shoots phone box. Well, that's too bad. Because you know what? I think it's out of order. Pauses. Bill decides it's time for breakfast and heads off to the nearest Blammo burger with his bag of weapons. Looks left. I'd like a blam and cheese blamlet. And an order of blam fries. Please. Sorry, we stopped serving breakfast. We're on the lunch menu. Looks right. Have you ever heard the expression? The customer is always right. Well, here I am. Pauses. The customer. Pauses. See, this is what I'm talking about. Can anybody tell me? What's wrong with this picture? Anybody? Anybody at all? Smirks. What's in Lake Havasu? London Bridge. Are you going to England? They moved it to Arizona. Pauses. London Bridge is one of the links in the film. It's the theme of the title, London Bridge is falling down. It links Bill and Prendergast. The unicorn snow globe plays London Bridge. It is when the army surplus shop owner breaks the snow globe that Bill commits murder. Although, he could probably claim self-defense. Had he not decided to commit suicide by cop. Pauses. Give me your other hand. I can't. Why not? Gravity. Pauses. Gravity. What the fuck does that mean? I'll fall down. Give it to me now. Then Bill lets him have it. In the neck. Rolls eyes. Bill really dislikes roadworks and walking. And now Bill has tasted blood, like a bear. Bill is on the war path. Pauses. With a rocket launcher from the army surplus store, Bill lets his anger go. With the press of a button. Pauses. Bill, by this stage, has no time for sports. And frightens an elderly golfer to death. After shooting his golf cart. Accidentally. Whilst taking a shortcut through a private golf course. Pauses. Prendergast falls down in his own way. As he smells the scent of blood of his murderer, Bill. Rolls eyes. Bill makes it home. But his ex-wife and daughter have gone to the pier to hide from Bill. Bill watches a home video from before their separation. And notices how he had become a controlling father. Pauses. It's interesting how people's memories only remember the good times. Rolls eyes. What? I can't talk to my wife. I'm not your wife anymore. No. Sugar, does this ring a bell? Till death do us part. Bill has some dark humor in him. Which is easily misunderstood when you're packing a firearm. And just blown up a road work. Prendergast tries his policeman bullshit on Bill. But Bill is having none of it. I did everything they told me to. Did you know I build missiles? I help to protect America. You should be rewarded for that. Instead, they give it to the plastic surgeon. Pauses. You have two choices. I can kill you. Or you can kill me. And my little girl can get the insurance. Pauses. I would have got you. Falls off pier. Am I the bad guy? Is the main question raised in the film, Falling Down. Bill did everything right, yet is rejected by his wife and society. No wonder he's a bit stressed. Surely, it is all society's fault. Just like Spartacus, Bill rebelled against an uncaring, emotionally brutal society. Only in this modern age, the slaves own their servitude. Pauses. London Bridge is falling down is a nursery rhyme. Its origins are from Anglo-Saxon England and refer to the bridge over the River Thames. The rhyme verses mention various ways of repairing the bridge, with the references to London Bridge in the film being related to the actual London Bridge rebuilt in Arizona. Pauses. The Falling Down title and the industry Bill works in, defense, references the fall of the Berlin Wall, which came down in late 1989, with the Soviet Union collapsing at the end of 1991. It is apparent the film is a reflection of society and the new status the heroes of the Cold War found themselves. Whilst no war was ever fought, vast numbers of people were employed in defending the American way of life. Once the communist threat evaporated, people noticed the flaws in their society and in themselves. The government cut defense spending, sending vast numbers of highly specialized people into the meat grinder that is the US job market. Pauses. Whilst Spartacus loses his final battle and dies horribly, Spartacus has the satisfaction that his son will enjoy the freedoms that he fought for. In Falling Down, Bill wins all his battles and dies poetically, having the satisfaction that his daughter's education will be paid for by his life insurance. Pauses. God bless corporate America. Salutes the red, white, and blue. Pauses. Who do you think won? Spartacus or falling down. You decide. Peace, I am out of here, word up. Exits stage left.